Maintain a friendly, calm, and professional environment during the closing meeting, regardless of how many findings the inspector wishes to document. The inspector will go over their findings. Please listen closely and ask questions where necessary. All findings are an opportunity to improve the vessel's safety, and the number of findings does not necessarily indicate the outcome from the inspection. Findings are not personal criticism and should not be taken personally. Share with the inspector any evidence that could lead to clarifying and removing a finding. If a finding is unclear or potentially ambiguous in its wording, please address this with the inspector and request that the language be adjusted. Accept the inspector's finding if it was based on inspection guidelines, industry recommendations, or regulations, and try not to prolong the closing meeting if the finding meets RightShip requirements. If the finding is not supported by an industry recommendation, regulation, or RISQ guidelines, professionally and calmly question the inspector and remind the inspector that RightShip requires all findings to be supported by an inspection guide, industry recommendations, or regulations. We encourage participants to avoid lengthy debates. If the inspector disagrees, you may contact RightShip at risq@rightship.com to share your concerns and supporting information via the ship's manager. We request that you do not negotiate or attempt to coerce the inspector to remove valid findings. Don't assume that because you've rectified findings the inspector noticed, they will overlook it and not report it. Using the findings supported by industry recommendations, regulations, or RISQ guidelines, RightShip will be able to make an accurate assessment of the ship's condition, operational standard, and the crew's familiarity with industry recommendations and regulations. The captain can communicate with the ship's manager and provide updates on the inspection's progress and findings. This may be helpful if the master cannot locate a document and wants to contact shore personnel for assistance. But the captain is ultimately responsible for the ship's inspection, and communication with the ship's manager or shore personnel must not delay the process. Digitally sign the list of findings, which will be sent as soon as inspectors get access to the internet, which may be while still on board the ship.